Hello and welcome to Always Choose Orange, the show that provides actionable ways to develop and maintain a thriving creative process. I'm your host, Alex Zaccanero, and today's guest is Alex Eckman-Lawn. Alex is a Philadelphia-based artist and illustrator known for his intricately layered, hand-cut paper collages. His work explores themes of control, psychological complexity, and the hidden architecture of the human body. Alex's distinctive visuals have appeared across a wide spectrum of media, including comic books, album and book covers, music videos, t-shirts, and gig posters. He's collaborated with bands such as Afterbirth, The Smashing Pumpkins, and Imperial Triumphant, and his illustrations have been featured in acclaimed comics like Swan Songs, Awakening, Mouse Guard Legends of the Guard, and the Eisner Award-winning Little Nemo, Dream Another Dream. In today's episode, the two of us talk about the influence that Philadelphia has on Alex's art. We also discuss his experience in art school and the power of artist communities, as well as a few ideas on how to find or create one for yourself. Alex then revisits the moment where he first stumbled across his layered collage style and forever changed the trajectory of his career. Aside from sharing a first name, the two of us also share a lot of the same taste in art. So as a result, we spend a lot of time nerding out about what Alex learned through studying legendary artists like Frank Frazetta and Dave McKean, as well as some thoughts on how AI is affecting newer illustrators. Keep it on the down low, but Alex even pries open his vault and shares the valuable websites where he sources his collage material. If you like the episode, please subscribe to the Always Choose Orange channel and let me know in the comments what your biggest takeaway was. And without further ado, here it is, my conversation with Alex Eckman-Lawn.
Always choose orange.
Actually, the place that I'm going to start, and you might get a laugh out of this, is your Instagram bio. So, sludge, grime, scum from the gutters of Philly. And I was curious as to in what ways do you see Philadelphia and sort of the general atmosphere like influence your art and what you do, if it does?
No, it definitely does. I was born in Philly. Um, yeah, it's funny you bring that up. Like my therapist literally like gives me a hard time about that kind of thing where I'm like, I'm scum, obviously. And he's like, what do you mean? Like, uh, I think Philly has that kind of like built-in chip on its shoulder attitude. But in my mind, it's like a really positive thing. Like everyone here is like grumpy, but also like super enthusiastic and honestly pretty nice in my experience anyway. Uh, and just like growing up here, man, I love the architecture. I like sort of ugly stuff that's got like beauty in it, for lack of a better descriptor. And that this is like a place you can find all that. Like there's a lot of really old, cool buildings that are also like maybe in a state of disrepair that I find really interesting. And there's a lot of like, I don't know, don't want to get too depressing. There's some like gnarly stuff that's happened here that I wouldn't say it's an inspiration, but it's like got me to where I am. uh, so I think also the arts community here is really strong because you can actually afford to live here.
Okay.
I don't know, you're in the East Coast, right?
I'm actually in the Midwest. Yeah, I'm in North
Oh,
Dakota, so it's definitely affordable here.
but okay. This I mean I've really only lived here. I've spent a little time in other places, but like it's my rent is going up all the time, of course, but it still is at a point where I'm full time as an artist, which like feels so crazy. I can't believe that that's actually possible at all for anyone, but I live in a tiny little apartment, but this is, I think, one of the cities where you can still do that for now.
Yeah.
But it means I think there's like so much talent. There's a lot of like there were a bunch of art schools. Two of them just closed. So I think genuinely was like a really cool place to like meet other artists. There's a lot of like community stuff that was inspiring to me and also helped me early on. Like I put together shows with a lot of friends that I graduated with, and I don't know if this is like the most long-winded answer to how do you feel about Philadelphia,
Yeah.
but
No, that's great, man. What was your experience of art school like? Because you went to art school in Philadelphia, right?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
I went to UArts, the like recently defamed
Oh,
art institution. I loved it. I had a really good experience. But I know I'm also like lucky. I mean, I don't know. Like it's a lot of money. I can understand why people feel I've been hearing more and more like maybe it's not worth it kind of sentiment from people, and I can't really argue it. I think I learned a lot, not just in like my illustration classes where I did learn a lot of like specific illustration stuff, but I took like art history and I still think about that like all the time. Uh, one of the ways I think about art in general is like it's your job to like take in as much as you can,
Mm.
uh, like all the time. This I just had this conversation with my buddy Alex Dos Diaz, who's also a very talented young man. If you if you're looking for people to have on the
Yeah, yeah.
show, uh, just about honestly about taxes.
Okay.
I was like, uh, I don't know what I'm doing. He's a professional and was helping me.
Okay.
He was like, you write off literally everything you buy, basically, that is media or like arts, because like you are actually you do wind up using it. Like, and I don't know. I was like afraid to admit this, but I know it's true. Like even if I buy some like movie I like from my childhood, like that is influencing some shit for me.
Yeah.
Uh, and like a lot of times I'll find it like almost one to one. It'll show up in my work if there's something that I really respond to.
Yeah.
So Jesus, what am I talking about?
Yeah, no, I was asking you about art school and stuff, but actually,
Yeah.
like, yeah. So, did you have more, or I have
Yeah,
another question?
so one, it was like invaluable to me for like the stuff that I was exposed to that I would not have seen.
Yeah,
It puts art in context in a way that I think a lot of people are missing right now because it's just so much information. And that really helped me. I found a lot of like Max Ernst or whatever, like some of the old collage dudes who's like, he rules. And I probably wouldn't have seen him without school. I mean, you can find him, but you know, it's nice to have someone like usher you through this. And then also just like community, man. Like some of my closest friends still are like people I met in art school, and it really helps to have other people that are like-minded and like sort of working at the same thing, even if like you're working on really different kinds of stuff. Like I had friends that were painters, and it just uh might sound a little corny, but it's like the what is it, the old like salon, the like French like
oh
it's
yeah,
really
yeah.
cool to spend time with other artists who are all working. It's like inspirational. I don't know.
How did you form that? So you mentioned that you met some of those people in art school. Do you find yourself still in that sort of community? And if so, how do people find something like
I
that?
mean, that's kind of what I'm saying. It's like it's pretty hard without that kind of structure.
Got
Like
it.
we all met each other because we were working on illustration together in the illustration department. But also like I don't know, it's not impossible. You go to shows and stuff, like art shows, but also like I work with a lot of bands. And I remember meeting a lot of people that way. Um, but it is hard. I mean, especially I'm old now. Like I I make new friends, but it's different. You know, like if it takes like effort and like
Yes,
looking at your schedule for like 6 months.
totally.
Um, yeah, I think the way to do it now, if you're not like in an institution like that, is just being like super open to like showing up at stuff.
Okay.
We were talking off mic, I'll
Yeah.
say, about the internet and how it's sometimes a little poisonous. I feel like right now is a maybe this is just what I want to happen, but it feels like people are turning back a little bit more towards like actual in-person like connection.
Yes.
uh on like a deeper level, I guess, but also just in terms of like I met you at that thing, I'm more likely to hire you because I remember your face.
Yes.
Or in a less like cynical way, like we both like that band. Are you working on anything? And that, you know, so getting to know people, this is like the craziest sentence. Getting to know people is important.
Yes.
Uh and not impossible. It just feels a lot harder
Yeah.
without like basically a place you're all meeting to do the same thing.
Yeah.
But I know people still like there's like figure drawing in Philly, I'm sure where you're at. I mean, everywhere. Like I used to feel like that was it would be weird for me to show up there. And I think that's like 100% wrong. It's always cool to show up at like local stuff. Just because like supporting the arts is like, I don't know, feels good, I think.
Yeah.
Um, and then you wind up feeling actually connected to things instead of, yeah, sitting alone in
Yeah.
the house working all day and seeing no one, which is how I'm normally functioning.
Right, right. Yeah, that's the strange thing about a lot of aspects of art is you end up doing all this stuff by yourself, and then the amount of time where you see someone actually react to it. And I would imagine in your case is probably pretty small because I mean on social media you see the virtual reaction, it's not the same thing, right? Like when you have like an exhibition or have your work somewhere in public, do you I don't know this might sound like a stupid question, but do you like hang out there and see how people are reacting to it and like shake hands and stuff, or do you just kind of let it
Uh,
sit?
I, you have to, well, you're supposed to. That's like terrifying for me. Like, I'm a sensitive little guy, and I'm like so afraid someone's gonna walk up to my art and be like, "Oh, it sucks. Here's everything that sucks about it." Uh, but no, going to like an opening, like I just had a show in February that was like more personal than usual for me, like specifically about a surgery I had as a kid that like still fuck me up. uh, and so seeing people react to that really was like heart-wrenching and also very cool. Like really, I don't know, vindicating or something. Like it meant a lot to see that people were even interacting with it at all. And mostly it's just your friends like showing up and high-fiving. Like I got to talk to everyone for like 45 seconds. It ruled. It felt like a birthday party.
Yeah.
Uh, but I used to have to go to like art fairs, which is a lot more like you're like working at your booth kind of. It wasn't even my booth. It was with a Paradigm. And I tried to just not be there that much, to be honest. Every now and then they'd like call me and be like, someone wants to talk to you, and then I'll come.
Yeah.
But I also feel like I don't want to be like a high pressure salesman. Like
Sure.
it makes me feel weird when someone is like watching you experience their art.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. So, like, moving into a little bit about sort of your process and background and like getting into doing what you do. So, at least from my vantage point, you're known for sort of those like haunting, like layered paper collage type pieces that have like a ton of texture and stuff like that. I was curious where that style came from. Like, was there a moment where that discovery hit you, or did that just sort of happen as you were trying things out?
It's a little bit of both. I mean, I've been working in collage through school, but I felt like weird about it. I don't know if I understood. Like, I felt like I wasn't allowed. I had to like force drawing into stuff sometimes, which is silly. I now know that. I found like right after I graduated, I would do projects where I was like, no one's here. I can just make a collage and then I won't. It like felt so easy and fun. And that was like the first big hurdle for me. The texture was like a big part of that's just kind of the stuff I like. I grew up with like Dave McKean,
Yeah.
which I mean, he's like a collage and painter anyway. Uh, but I was trying to figure out because I work mostly digitally in my like illustration stuff. And I was like, how can I want like a tactile, I miss the like hands-on feeling.
Yeah.
So I was like basically just like making a cheat sheet where I would like print all the elements of my work and then cut those out and reassemble them on like a board, which is like I do think it's funny. That's such like a backwards way to do it that there is kind of like a charm to it for me.
Yeah.
But it was coming together fine. It just kind of looked like a sloppier version of what I do. But I looked down at the paper I'd cut the stuff out of, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Like this trash I'm holding is like the thing I like. So I just like wound up like stacking them all up, and I was like, oh, basically, oh no, I figured it out, and had to like throw out the whole thing and start over. That piece was for a show at Arch Enemy in Philly, uh, and I've just like had a much bigger response than anything else I'd ever done. So I was like, I guess I'll keep at it, and then it's developed like since then. But the kind of like tunneling technique you were talking about,
Yeah.
like by accident, basically.
Wow. Okay. How long ago was that? Do you remember like approximately?
Got to be like 10 years almost,
Okay.
which is like horrifying to me personally, but maybe like 8.
Yeah.
Oof.
Okay.
Um, yeah, just like grappling with my own mortality as I think about how old I am.
Sure. Yeah, of course, man. Did so then once you discovered that and then do you feel like you're still trying new things with that sort of approach? Like how do you approach delivering the style that, you've done for a while and that people, may be resonating with and stuff like that? Do you consciously think, oh man, I need to like mix it up and try something else? Or do you try to just like find the groove of stuff you like to make and keep doing that?
That's a tough one because there is an expectation. And like you'll get hired. I mean, I'm an illustrator and I do this collage, like fine art. I don't know what to call it.
Yeah.
Show in galleries. And sometimes like a client will be like for a book cover or whatever, will be like, basically, we want this image. Can you make that again?
Okay.
And so there isn't a whole lot of room to like experiment there, but I try when it's my own work to let whatever I want to have happen happen. And that does sometimes take me, I don't know, in a place where I guess maybe the immediate reaction isn't as strong, but I really try to make sure I leave room for that, or else you wind up doing something you don't care about anymore. And then I think people can tell, right?
Yeah.
I really try not to like stagnate. I mean, I guess no shit, everyone does, but
Yeah.
like I really want to keep this like fun for me. And I also just love collage so much that like basically every few months I find something new. I'm like, oh, that's a cool idea. And like it's just a matter of like how often do I get a chance to do it? Um, but one of the things I've realized, like every now and then I'll talk to like a school, like a graduating class, or that sounds like I'm talking their commencement. I'm not. I mean, like I do like a workshop or whatever.
Cool.
And I think I've realized that most of the like big like step forward, at least in my mind, moments when I like think I had like a breakthrough or I like liked my work more was when I was doing something just for me, like
Yeah.
just an experiment, and then realizing like, oh, that's cool. Or like I'm really connecting to this thing, and then kind of trying to like shoehorn it into what what I work on, or someone else sees it and is like, that's really cool. We want to, yeah. So I think the honest way to do it is to just kind of follow the stuff you're interested in and then like see where it takes you. But that's sort of, easy for me to say as someone who's been working for a while, right?
Sure, sure. Did you feel like it was different earlier? Like
Oh
when you
yeah.
first started? Yeah.
It's like so desperate and poor. And like uh working like doing album covers for like $300. Living with my two beloved roommates, like very close friends. I love those guys. We all slept on mattresses on the ground. Like we didn't even have bed frames. I mean, it was like a good time in a certain way. Like I think of it really fondly, but I'm glad to not. I'm glad to have a full bed now.
That's right.
But yeah, no, I think like until that, honestly, that thing I was telling you about where I felt like it, like I broke something, positive connotation. I was like, really, I'll do whatever, I'm a freelance illustrator. I still do that. Like I'll take jobs that have nothing to do with what I like, because I have to pay the bills.
Yeah.
But I think that's fun also. I like the like solving a problem feeling of illustration. Uh, but yeah, it definitely helps to have a little bit more of like, okay, I know what I do for a living and I don't need to like, this doesn't have to solve it. I'm kind of like a big proponent of having either a lot of little gigs or even like a day job. Like people
Yeah.
get weird about it, but like some of the people I know that do the best art are not just producing art to make money. They don't have to worry about that, so they're free to make like cool things. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes. Right.
Um,
You have to like be your own patron is a phrase that I like to say and that I've heard other people say. It's just like, right, like the money's got to come from somewhere, and do you want all the pressure of it having to come from what you're generating and making and all the things, or as the money's settled, then you don't have to put that makes a
yeah.
ton of sense. I think that's a wise way.
There's also like a lot of ways to do that. That's kind of what I was like, I don't want a job. I think it like for me, I've got like baby brain. And when I was working at this like coffee shop for honestly like 6 months, it like sapped my will to live. I mean, it was also a fucking bad job, but
Okay.
like
Yeah.
there were nice people there even. It wasn't even the worst job. But I would get home and just be like, I'm too tired, I can't do it. And like that's so demoralizing
Oh,
for a
yeah.
million reasons. But so I realized I can just do like I do like design work also to help pay the bills, and I'm still kind of like a Jenga tower of a thousand tiny jobs that support me, you know?
Yeah. Do you find that did it help? Like did it ease some pressure and find that you were able to be more experimental, or was it kind of just like, eh?
I mean, it's really important to my brain, and I think I have to like the balance for me is like, yes, I need to do jobs that pay the rent, and I have to be honest with myself about like sometimes I just need to like eat my ego, and like complete the job. Like you get hired to just be a pair of hands sometimes,
Yeah.
and like this is like my whole thing. The only thing I care about, basically. That's not true. But my favorite thing in the world, my hobby and my like profession and my, the thing I've got the most passion for, and it's like my job and still my hobby. Like it gets weird. I think I have to make time for the experimentation or else I start to lose it.
Yeah.
So it is a relief in that sense. It's like I like to be able to do that, and now I can actually like say no to things sometimes because I know I need to like build that time in.
Yeah.
That said, I said yes to a lot of like shows, like gallery shows this year, and that's way more of a risk every time. Like
Okay.
I sell, I don't want to like I don't know how to finish that sentence. It doesn't make me sound like an asshole. I
Sure.
sell my work pretty consistently, not always, but um, but it's not a guarantee. Like sometimes you put months of work in and like you don't really make the money back, or you make a small amount back. And it's if I had just said no and done jobs that pay me when I finish them, I would be doing better, but my brain would be doing worse, you know?
Yeah, right. And like that trade-off's not always worth it. Sometimes it's like I'd
No,
rather have my brain feel better and
absolutely. And
have
like
less.
maybe the work is going to be better too. That's what I keep telling myself. Is it's like actually a good investment in my what I do.
Can you walk me through like the process of creating one of your pieces? So I know that you do like a ton of different types of, like you were mentioning, there's the collage stuff. Maybe start with the collage stuff. I'm super curious because you mentioned there's the digital aspect, the cutting it out. Like I'm super curious, like how does it start from idea to things done?
It does change from piece to piece depending on what like the goal is. Um, so for instance, that show I was telling you about that was like about my surgery. I knew I had like a I did it more like illustration where I was like doing sketches even. Like this is the image I want to arrive at. And then I like assemble that from pieces digitally. Like it starts in Photoshop almost always. But I've done a lot of other pieces where I find like ephemera, you know, like it's just an old photo. I found this huge like must have been like a campaign poster or something for a guy I've never seen. And I was like, why? Obviously, like I have to do something with this. So I wound up like cutting a giant hole in his face, and then the digital part was just like assembling the layers that would go underneath. Um, but for most stuff, I have just this huge library of like public domain images that I've been collecting forever. Like because I have a problem, I'm like a hoarder. I have like three external hard drives sitting right next to me right now. Uh, and I'll just go through that and see what makes me like basically like if I get inspired. I wish there was like a less kind of corny way to say that, but and then I'll like let it take me from there kind of, but it does start in Photoshop.
Okay.
Um I just finished a piece the other day that was like I mean, it's like a little arch. Maybe it was a grave. I decided it was gonna be. I like got rid of the background, added like a ton of different flowers from this like public domain like flower illustration pack I bought years ago, probably. Changed the colors, added a whole bunch of like kind of honestly like blood splatter now that I think about it. And then in the center of the arch, like that was like the tunnel. That's the focal point. So that had like kind of like the descending meat layers that I normally do. And then I'll plan like how this is going to look once it's layered. So I know it's eventually going to be physical. I like design each like five layers usually. Get those all printed on like archival paper, then hand cut each one of those and layer them so that it's got that like shadow box like diorama feeling. But the getting to like design it once in the computer and then again I kind of get to like make the collage decisions again when I'm cutting. So like things will wind up changing. I'll switch out elements. I'll like move things around, which I think is just good for my like ADHD brain probably. But it helps me not get bored and it builds in like kind of the thing that I think is the most uh advantageous part of collage. Like what it has to offer is like you're like a pure designer. Like you
Mm.
that you can rearrange things at any moment. And this doesn't feel like I'm like locked into something ever, which to me is like so cool and freeing and yeah. Makes me want to make work like right now just talking about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So then how are, and I'm sure it's different from piece to piece, but what are some ways like your ideas come to you? Are you seeing like an image in your head of, oh, I want to do like a statue head and have like the tunnel into it? Is it coming to you like that? Or are you thinking of themes or are you trying to create a series? I'm super curious about the idea stage too.
I wish like this is where I was meant like warning you I'm gonna sound like a dum dum. It really is different like
Yeah.
every time. Sometimes I'll like stumble like that one I think you mentioned that's like the kind of blue teal
Yeah.
statue face with the
I
kid
love
inside.
that one. Yeah.
Thank you. I think that's probably like the best thing I ever made.
Ooh.
I'm like haunted by it a little bit. But I like found that head and then was like sort of fucking around with it. And when I like arrived at that, like it was kind of coming together really quickly, which is almost like I feel like I can't take credit for it. You know what I mean? Like it
Yeah.
just sort of happened and I was like, "Oh my God." And then from there realized like what it was about basically. And then it can be a series. And then it's like, okay, I know what I'm doing. I find more of these heads. I know like what the concepts are and I can kind of like go nuts from there.
Yeah.
Um, which like I don't know, I should have asked this earlier. It's very rude of me. What kind of work do you do? What
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
like
I'm predominant. I dabble in a lot of different things, but the main thing that I'm working on is a novel. So
oh,
writing is the main thing. But I've made music. I love doing like vision boards, collage type stuff for fun, but really rudimentary. Like not like what not on that level, just from
that's
like
like
magazines and all that stuff. But yeah,
that's the same thing, man. Don't don't downplay it. But I think if you okay, so if you're a writer, you definitely understand this feeling. when you've like nailed the core, like you know what's going to happen, and then you kind of just get to have fun, like expanding on it or being like, oh, here's this other scene that'll like support it, but I don't need to worry about like the arc of the story anymore. That's like the best feeling for me.
Yes.
Like, the pressure's off and I can just start like seeing what happens. But for that show, the body is what it was called. There was one there's one I had that was a dream, which is like I've never done that before. I can't believe that's a real thing. I thought that was people were lying when they said that.
Yeah.
And then there's one that was like I just was thinking about basically how it felt to have like to feel separate from my own body and then also from like all other people. Because I had scoliosis. It's not like
Okay.
I wasn't, but it was a serious surgery.
Yeah.
And I had to wear like a brace. I was like 13 years old. So it's like right when you feel weirdest in your body already. And like I was like, oh, I want to kiss girls,
Right.
but like what if they find out about like you know what I mean? So it was like the visual of it is this like cascade of like perfect sculpture bodies just like being dumped out of the sky in front of me like, and I knew that was like the image I wanted, and so most of the time I spent on that, like the cutting was, honestly pretty minimal. I think there's like good little pockets to find in it, but it was the image was like where I spent all my time. So not just finding the right sculptures, but then like combining them so they're the right shape.
I'm actually really curious too about the dream. So like, can you tell me a little bit about like that? Like, what did you dream and what did it turn into?
Yeah, I was walking in the woods in my like parents when I was a little kid, we moved out of the city. And I just like couldn't believe how dark it was all the time. So I wound up being like really scared at night. Um, and like would take walks during the day to try to like be less weirded out about it. It was like the suburbs, not even that
Yeah.
rural, but I had a dream that like there's this big black, like I don't know, like kind of like a moon that was like descending very slowly towards me. And I remember like walking through the forest like towards it. And like dream logic or whatever. Like in my mind, I was like, don't go towards it. uh, and so that's like that's one of the main pieces in that show. Uh, and also, I mean, I don't know, man. I was really dipping into some stuff that I think I was pretending doesn't inform almost every decision I make.
Yeah.
I make a lot of work about like anatomy because the like scoliosis was like a surprise. Like I didn't know I had it, and just all of a sudden I had to like rush to the hospital and we like set a surgery date, and they were like telling me all this shit. Like it's possible you won't walk. Like it's very unlikely, but that's always it. And like just like having to confront your mortality when you're like in puberty, it's like everything at once. Like I was
Yeah.
absolutely not prepared for it. And so like to this day, I'm really afraid of like what's happening inside a body without my knowledge, and like body horror in general is like very interesting to me.
Yeah.
I don't think like I knew those things were related, but I used to be like, no, 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 I'm fine. I'm not like messed up about my surgery. And then like, of course, when I started really thinking about it, it's like torrents of fucking feelings and like like 14-year-old feelings.
Yeah.
So I started having a lot more like intense dreams.
Is
But
it
normally,
no,
uh,
I was gonna say, do you find it again, this I don't know how to phrase it, but like do you find it like healing to create the art around it? Does it help? Is it
it did.
therapeutic, I guess? This might be a better way.
Yeah. Yes, for sure. It was also super hard though. Like I think like I make art that's always most of my art is about that. This was the only one that I think I've ever done like explicitly. Like I can tell you exactly what this thing means and like what it's referring to. And that was it didn't feel good all the time, but when it was out, it felt good. And also like I said, man, like people coming to see it that are important to me, and like my parents came to the show, and that was really hard, honestly, but also cool. And we got to actually talk about some stuff that I think we never talked about. And my mom was she's really sweet, and I think she just didn't want to believe that her kid was ever like sad, which is, I mean, it's not, there's nothing you can do. Like
Yeah,
everyone's
right.
sad at some point. But she was like, no, you were okay, right? Like you weren't really upset about it, were you? And I was like, getting cut open? Yeah. Like, it sucked. I spent a summer in bed, dude. And I think now like we have I don't know, it's probably something we should have talked about a long time ago. So
Yeah.
in that way it is, and it does just feel good to get it out. That's like a big part of making art in general is like I think it's a way to communicate with people and it's sometimes in ways that I don't really have like good words for. Which again, like as a stupid person, this is like a new vocabulary I can use.
Yeah.
Uh, so just like any kind of connection, like when people, anytime someone's like, this meant something to me, even if it's the opposite of what I intended from it, maybe not the opposite,
Sure.
it's like very powerful for me to think that I can do that with a picture I made, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. Where do you source, if it's not a trade secret, I don't want to bust open your vault, but where do you source your images from? Is there
um,
like lots of different places? Do you have like certain things that are like, oh, this is a gold mine and
I do. I am afraid to tell you about them, but I'm about to right now. uh, there's a place. Well, I used to use Flickr Commons. I still do, but that's getting a little harder to like navigate. I think I don't know if like money was cut or whatever. And honestly, just like Wikipedia, Wiki Commons is useful, but you have to be really careful about you just got to pay really close attention to the actual copyright.
yeah.
They'll tell you, but you do need to be like knowledge or focused on it. Pexels,
Yeah.
PEXLS has like so much good photography in it. It's wild. Like I keep like waiting for them to be like, you've used too many. And then, oh man, actually, it's very unprofessional of me, but I'm gonna look at my bookmarks right now.
Yeah.
Uh, there's one called Public Work by Cosmos. It's
Cool.
public.work. And it's like mostly like old like illustration, but it's a really cool resource. I think they have like a lot of really good shit. That's another one you have to like be careful about the like source though.
Yeah.
Uh, and then sorry, last one. Oh, just like the British Public Library
Oh yeah.
have like their website and also on Flickr and stuff. Like there is a ton of like absolutely legal collageable images out there. Um, I bring that up because it's so frustrating to me when I see people using things that are clearly not that. And then also, I guess I'm going to go against my own request to not get crazy. I don't know, whatever. I just AI is like so abhorrent to me.
Yeah.
uh, it's so lazy when this stuff all exists, you know?
Right.
I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I guess like, have you how has that affected you in terms of like roles and stuff? Have you felt like any impact as that stuff's like rolled out the last couple of years?
For sure. Partly in that, like, so like publishers that hire illustrators, like every now and then they'll put a book out and it's clearly AI. And I know that took a job from someone. I also think it looks like shit, most like for the
Yeah,
most part. I guess maybe that, whatever. It's like unethical, whatever. I don't want to, we don't
sure.
have to get into all that unless you want to. I have noticed like places will be a little bit more cautious about. I think I didn't get a job once because they were worried that it would look like maybe it was AI. Because
Oh,
collage, it's like people want to know for sure that it was drawn by a human hand or whatever.
sure.
Which is a weird, I hadn't considered that it's like just to be careful to not uh,
Yeah,
give the wrong impression or whatever. But I think really that's going to affect more people who are just starting out.
sure.
The kind of jobs where you're working for like $50 that are really important when you're starting, you know? Like I was saying, like $300 album cover, like a lot of those guys are just going to generate some slop. Uh, I work at a metal label that like luckily it's like kind of tends to sign the kind of bands that care about this stuff. And in
Yeah,
metal in general, like usually it's so aesthetic that like you want to make sure you have something cool on the cover.
yeah,
But even there, like there were a couple times where I was like, pretty sure, pretty sure I know where that came from. Uh, and again, just so I don't like to be honest, the guy who runs the label specifically sent out like an email to everyone being like, guys, don't like I would really not like to print this shit. But yeah, I mean, I know it's out there and I get scared about it getting worse. I know people who work in like games and movies and shit that are definitely feeling it.
yeah.
People have specifically lost their jobs.
Did you read the Dave McKean book that he did about like AI and stuff? I haven't seen it yet.
I know why he did it because he was
Yeah.
one of the main guys that they were using to train it. I don't think it was the right thing to do. I'm
Sure.
mad at him. I think that's also like a guy who doesn't have to worry about it because he's Dave McKean. And
Yeah.
I think he wasn't. I think he was like, oh, interesting. Maybe the way to take the power back from them is to cooperate. And it's like, that's never the way, dude.
Yeah.
It would have been cooler if Dave McKean loudly said, this is gross. Please don't do that, you know?
Yeah.
But I can't be mad at the guy. I think I don't think he came from a bad place, but it was disappointing to me personally because I'm a
Sure.
huge fan. I love his work.
Yeah.
And I also don't think that's his best work. Like, of
Right.
course, because guess what? The best part of Dave McKean is his fucking brain.
Dude.
Like, he's got great hands too, but like, guy came up with weird shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something so perverse about like this thing that I showed my art to made a worse version of my art. Like,
Right.
anyway,
What are
sorry,
your favorite McKean stuff?
man. I actually really like his drawing a lot. Like his
Okay.
pen drawing, I think is really sick, and it doesn't really. I used to not think about it because I'm much more of like initially, especially his collage work is like my stuff. Um, his paintings. He did some children's books that were like a big deal to me when I was in college. It was like The Wolves in the Walls or something. Do you know that
Okay.
one? It
I haven't
just
seen
like
that.
it's not. I mean, it's a lesser work if that makes sense. I love what he did with Coraline, which like it's problematic now. His like covers, dude, the old DC stuff, like Sandman covers again, unfortunate. But like, I am one of those dudes. I'm like a McKean apologist. Like, I don't think he's ever made a bad image.
Yeah. Oh, dude. The first time I saw his stuff, I was like, how does this man do
Yeah,
this? I have Black Dog back here on my shelf somewhere.
yeah.
That
Well, that's a
one's
good one.
legit.
I'm trying now. I'm like looking at my my bookshelf. Yeah, I tend to like um the wilder stuff. Like, his interiors are cool. What is it? Arkham Asylum is him, right?
Yeah.
It looks great. I'm really glad it exists, but it's not what I want from him exactly.
Gotcha.
What a weird thing to say. I'm glad he
No,
made it
no, no, no,
an
that
important
makes
piece of
sense.
work, but it's not my favorite just because I like his like approach to image making. I think was a huge, even like outside of the textures he uses and like the colors and stuff, which are all incredible. He builds these images that are so iconic. Like, they all feel like a poster. And
Yeah.
that's like I really try and like keep that in my mind. Like, me and my partner just went to the Frazetta Museum, and I'd never seen any like Frank Frazetta in person. Like, it looks fucking sick.
Yeah.
It's so good. He's like incredible. And he has this like he's like, I want to make sure every figure is going somewhere or doing something.
Oh,
Which, like, you read that and you're like, yeah, no shit. And then like you think about it, it's like, no, dude, I see images where people are just like at rest all the time. And you think about Frazetta stuff, everyone's like, even when someone's lying down, like you can tell they're like about to move. And I think McKean has like an equally exciting way of making images where like even when it's static, there's just like so much happening. It's like a whole story.
yeah.
Sorry, I'm gonna fucking relax a little bit. This
No,
is like
no.
weird shit in the world, you know?
Yeah, no, dude. No, that's awesome. I love that. Like, okay, so like hanging on to the influences train then. So we were talking about McKean and Frazetta. Um, who else are like people that have inspired you over the years? Maybe like a few key either artists. It could be any genre though. Like could be music or films or whatever. But is there anything that you're like, man, that really is like my jam. I love this stuff.
David Cronenberg, David Lynch, for sure, in terms of like film. Like, Cronenberg is like my shit times a thousand. And then, you know what? I hadn't seen it until recently, but it was Shinya Tsukamoto, the guy that did Tetsuo the Iron Man.
Oh, okay.
I like I, it's like I can't believe I was making images that are so derivative of his work without realizing it for so long. Like I saw Tetsuo finally like not that long ago and was like speechless with how much I loved it. Like, the visuals of it are so exactly what I love. And the same kind of like cyberpunk like body horror.
Yeah.
And it like doesn't he's not out of step with some of those guys. I also love like Mobius, just because how do you not, right?
Dude, Mobius is like, man, yeah, I could
It
go
hurts
on
my
forever.
feelings. Yeah, any again, a guy never did a bad drawing. Like, pisses me off.
I know.
I like this my new like obsession. Taiyo Matsumoto. He did like Ping Pong and Sunny and was it Tech on Concrete?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Number five or whatever, also. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That one is like almost inscrutable to me. Like, I cannot follow the story, but it looks so cool. But the way he draws is just so like talk about a guy who's like not pinned to one style.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Sunny looks completely different from Ping Pong, and I love both of them. Like, those are both books that literally made me cry. Like, that's not like a thing that happens to me all the time. Like, I'm a sensitive little dude, but uh anyway, who else do I like? Sean Tan, I grew up really loving, I still do.
Oh, man. Arrival is crazy. I have that on the shelf behind me
Oh my
too, man. I
God, me
could just
too.
stare at that for hours.
I would say once it's literally out on my desk because I know I'm gonna look at it like every day. The page that's just clouds like fucks me up. That's a perfect piece of art, man. I love Edward Kinsella. That's just like an illustrator that I grew up really loving. Killian Eng, I think that's how you pronounce
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
He's like
Oh,
another Mobius though.
yeah.
Yeah, there's like I'm like freaking out. I could talk about this forever. I'm looking around my room for all the like
Yeah.
artists. Um, for collage stuff, it's like honestly mostly older stuff. Like I like Max Ernst a lot, but also like Moon Patrol. Honestly, like he just like showed up and was like, "Look how fun this can be." And I just I don't know. I was already. It's not like I didn't know about collage, but he was kind to me and just like a I don't know. I like that dude a lot. I think his attitude towards art is really cool. Uh, Jesus, there's a whole bunch. I got like art books over there that I wish I could like. Oh, Charles Burns. Speaking
Oh,
of Philly people,
he
that's
did
he's
Black Hole, right? Was that
yeah.
Burns?
Mhm.
Oh, dude.
Yep. And if like, I'm a Cronenberg guy, that feels like the Cronenberg of comics kind of. Yeah, I love a lot of like old horror manga. That's like a constant influence. Like Junji Ito is not old,
I was
but
about to
like
say Uzumaki. Did you read that? That
yeah,
thing,
I
dude,
mean
I
I love
couldn't
it.
finish it. I'm like
Really?
sensitive to that stuff, dude. I got 300 pages in because that's a thick, that's a,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep. It's a tome. Well, maybe I don't know if you'd like this then, but Kazuo Umezu is like the guy, the like 70s dude that like I think influenced all those people.
Oh,
And it's so fun. It's like pulpy, like lots of like just like a face screaming. There's one where like this is gross. Like I'm fucking whatever. There's like a pair of scissors that are cutting their way out of someone's face.
oh, yeah, yeah,
Think about it like all the time, man. Uh,
yeah,
yeah, that just feels like the attitude I want in my art. Like they were just trying whatever they could, and they're also like really good at it.
yeah,
But there's like an energy to it that like is so exciting. Again, like I'm talking about this makes me want to like make something right now.
yeah. Okay, so then I know you've done work like in comics and graphic novels and stuff. Like, how is that? I mean, I know it's like a completely different medium, right? So, like, how do you approach that type of stuff? Like, have you done? So, I looked up kind of a bit of what you've worked on, but I haven't actually like read any of those. So, like, are those like are they full length stories? Are they shorts? Like, what type of stuff have you done?
That's another one where like whatever I can do. I got into comics like right out of college, so that's what I thought I would be doing. And I did like a 10 issue book that is like embarrassing, I guess. I don't know. It's so old to me now. I think there's
Sure.
cool stuff in it. That's a shitty thing to say. It's a good book.
Yeah, yeah.
And the writing is great. My buddy wrote it. We still work together on stuff. We're working on something right now. But the way I worked on that was much more just like collage was totally digital, but still a big part of it. So like a lot of the like cityscapes would be built from like buildings literally in my town, which feels really good. Like that's kind of what I was talking about. Like Philly architecture is like a big part of my work. But yeah, that's just it's regular ass storytelling. I think the reason it embarrasses me and I don't think I was very good at like layout at that time
Okay.
or like I wanted to make like it's very telling that I was like, I don't know about not I don't know about I'm not my favorite is not Arkham Asylum.
Yeah.
That's like a perfectly laid out book.
Oh,
But I think I just am like not interested in that part. Like I just wanted to get to the big splash pages, and that's kind of how I approached making comics at that time.
okay.
Which is fun, but I think I am doing better now. But the last thing I did an issue of Swan Song,
Cool.
which is a book put together by the guy, the writer of Ice Cream Man, if you know that book.
I haven't seen it, but I'll have to check it
Okay.
out. Yeah.
It rules. They just got nominated for an Eisner. Actually, Swan Song got nominated for an Eisner. Probably not because of my chapter, but still, uh, he's a great writer, William Maxwell Prince. But this was like an anthology about like the end of things. So each issue was like a different artist with him writing, and we did one about like a guy like kind of going into his own brain to like talk to his childhood self,
Oh,
which like is actually suited. I think he chose me because he's like, I want to do this like weird collage comic. And
yeah.
that one I got to actually be like a little more true to like making comics in a way that feels more like what I do now.
Yeah.
Uh, and again, a long-winded answer, man. I'm sorry.
No, no, that's
Another
awesome.
book.
Like, did it? Yeah, I mean, that concept of that story sounds exactly like a story version of like the tunnel in the face, and
Yeah, I think
that's
that was his. I mean, I'm really grateful that he like tapped me for it. Basically, I think he it was a big chance. Or yeah, he took a chance. Because I don't know, he doesn't know I make comics. Like, as far as anyone who reviewed that book, they were like, and Alex's debut, and I don't want to be like, not really, but
yeah,
like, but no, now I am working on a new book that's a lot more collage based, and I'm just really slow, man.
sure.
I, I have some friends in comics that are like, they do like 2 pages a day, no sweat, and I'm like struggling to get, you know, one a week with all the other shit I got on my plate. I mean, I don't know. That's not a
It's
brag. I'm saying I'm slow.
Yeah, no. I hear that. So like one of my sort of bucket list things is to do a graphic novel, like to and I storyboarded a whole thing. It was like 60 to 70 pages. The storyboarding, dude, took me forever.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
because I'm not trained, like I don't have your back, like that stuff. And man, so I can't imagine like the finished pages, how long that takes.
It takes me forever. The people who are really good at it, it's like magic. It's really cool to watch. This guy Jesse Lonergan, I hope I said that right, Lonergan. Uh, he just like blasts out art. It's crazy, and he's like not worrying about every line, so then they all look right, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You talking to him and my friend Christine Larson, who both just like they are naturals at this shit. Honestly, anyone who's like prolific in comics, it is the way they're comfortable working, right? You don't need to be good at layouts, man. You're a writer. Like,
That's true.
uh, but no, have you ever seen like I don't know if you're like a fucking dork like me. Do you know Satoshi Kon did like Paprika and
Oh,
Perfect
yes.
Blue?
I have Paprika, but I haven't watched it yet. I've heard I'm
Oh,
gonna love it.
yeah, you I would definitely. Well, I mean, I think so. But he did like crazy. What are they called when it's a movie? Storyboards, but
Oh,
that look like a finished comic. Like it's like disgusting.
yeah.
That's like that's kind of sometimes when I think about comics, I'm like, this is the kind of thing I think you need to really be great at this. Um, but there, whatever. That's defeatist. There are a lot of ways to be good at something, right? Like I think I'm hoping I offer something else besides speed. Um, yeah. Oh boy, really, really just talking at you.
Yeah. Well, no, it's all good. Okay, so when you were working on like the comics that you've worked on, and I know probably every workflow is a little bit different, but how much is coming to you? Like, what role is yours, I guess, and what role is like the writers? Like, are they giving you ideas for, hey, this part needs to have this visual? Like, what does that sort of behind the curtain look like?
It's different with every writer. I think the reason that I'm still working with my buddy Nick Topolansky, who wrote that first book we did together, and now the new stuff, is I think we know each other. We're friends. We're like now we met through comics, but he trusts me, so he'll say like, in this page, I want to see this. Here's the like important information, and you can do whatever you want.
Okay.
Um, the one I did Swan Songs is a little bit more like regimented, but he also is like super open to me approaching it however he wanted or however I wanted. He'd be like, on this page, this happens. This is how many panels I was imagining. But still, like if I came to him and was like, I
Yeah.
think this works better, he was like, cool.
Okay.
I think that's one of the really nice things about comics is it can be collaborative.
Yeah.
Like big book like DC and Marvel, it's like not like that. Obviously, it can't be sort of. There's like 1,000 people that have to okay everything, uh, and that's not really the kind of comics I want to make. I mean, it's definitely not.
Yeah.
If I guess if Marvel showed up tomorrow and asked me, I don't know what I'd say, but
Sure.
I'm more interested in like comics as a collaboration or as like a way to tell a weird story, right?
Okay.
Uh, so that's the stuff I lean towards. Those are like the working relationships I would prefer.
Yeah.
Also, it takes me so long, I like can't do that many of them.
Sure. Right.
Uh, but yeah, I mean that's truly like a personal preference for the writer, I think.
Yeah. Do you I mean, I'm assuming that you obviously do enjoy doing it because you do it. Like, is that like like do you have a certain thing that you'd want to spend more time doing, or do you like the balance that you currently have of like the collage, more like fine art type stuff than the stuff that people are hiring you for versus the comics and all that?
Yeah. I think I just wish there were like 40 hours in a day. Like I do like everything I do. I get stressed about not being able to finish it all, you know? Uh I want to do more book covers. I really enjoy that work. But I've been really liking doing comic covers. It's like a single image. I can do that like kind of like postery thing I was talking about, like Polish
Oh
movie
yeah.
posters are like a big influence on me. Yeah, I just want to do more.
Yeah.
I just want to do more of it, I guess is the answer.
Yeah. Have you ever had to deal with like creative burnout like at any point? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I've
How did you deal with it?
that's a work in progress. Uh in that I don't really have a solution.
Sure.
I have like rat brain where I'm like, if I say no to something, I'll never work again.
Yeah.
Like if when like you're at a party and someone's like, do you want like an hors d'oeuvre? What the fuck? I've never been to a party where someone ordered me yeah. Or like if someone offers you a dip or whatever, like I'm like, this might be my last chance. Like I have to eat that. And that's not true anymore. I have to like get that through my fucking skull. Uh but I overbook myself sometimes.
Gotcha.
Um, and I am so neurotic about my work that I really don't want the art to suffer. So I wind up not sleeping.
Ah,
And then at the end of the month, I'm like a husk. Uh, so I'm working on that this year. I'm really trying to not do that. Uh, and like we were talking about, man, I think it really helps to like take time and like watch a movie, read a book. Like that is, I used to get in my head where I'm like, I'm wasting time, but that's like integral to making art. Like
yes.
you gotta take things in to be able to make new things, or it all looks the same.
Mm,
So I think like forcing planned unstructured time, to use like a very clinical and annoying term, but like even just being like, this day I'm gonna go walk in the woods and that's all I'm doing, like makes a big difference, I think. Uh,
yeah. Do you
and
have
even
favorite things that you like that work better for you, like in
taking a
structured time?
walk, taking a walk in the woods really helps me.
Yeah.
Um, Reading a stupid comic like in the sun and eating like a pastry or whatever, like real like little French guy with his baguette stuff, like it does make me feel so happy.
Yes.
I'm also like a little bougie boy that I can't afford it, but like I love really like nice cocktails. I can only have like one, but you know.
Sure.
But oh man, me and my girlfriend had like a meal that was this place, Miss Rachel's Pantry in Philly. It's like a vegan tasting menu, so it's like, you know, you don't know what you're getting, but you trust it.
Yeah.
It was so good that it like re-energized me for like a month. Do you know what I mean? Like I was like
Yeah.
thinking about it.
Yeah.
And that's like, or like music, you know, like taking in an art form that is not what you do, to me is like a really regenerative process. So I'm trying to like go see more bands, uh, eat good food and not just like, you know, pile up rice and tofu at home like I normally do. And yeah, I think those are like, if you can do it, really good ways. And there's like free ways to do it too, you know?
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay, so like you mentioned sort of the band thing. I'd love to talk about this a little bit. So I know you've done, a bunch of album art, done posters for, and you did the poster for the Smashing Pumpkins, a bunch of metal band art and stuff like that. How do all those collaborations typically come into being?
I tend to work with bands that are like, it's just some dude being like, hey man, we need art for our album cover. And because I love metal, like that's like my thing. I like other shit too, but you know,
Yeah.
I often know the band, and then it's like that feels like a very it's perfect. It's like everything is like uniting. It's the thing I like, and there's an aesthetic I like, and I can like, you know, add to a thing I'm already stoked about. Uh, I don't. I like the Smashing Pumpkins when I was a little kid, but I like didn't talk to Billy Corgan, of course.
Sure.
I talked to like the company that was setting up posters. Uh, that was a weird one, man. It's cool that it happened, I guess. Uh, I think it's cool because then people will be like, wow, that guy worked with like a real band. But I'm so much less. I like the image a lot, to be
Yeah.
clear.
It's
But I'm
cool.
so much less stoked on that than I am that I worked for this band Afterbirth that like I love, you know?
Yeah, so it's more like a resume padding. No,
That
I'm not saying you did it for that. You know what I mean? I'm not implying that. Like, but
I think I just implied that is unfortunately. No, I'm really stoked I got the chance to do it. I'm very lucky. I personally am less invested in it.
got
Um,
it.
but also sometimes I think like, wouldn't 12-year-old Alex be like so stoked that happened? And the answer is like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, dude.
So that I think is worth it alone. Yeah, I really like working with bands. I think just because it's like that music is so important to me. I mean, it's one of those things that every human being feels. But if I can contribute to like I feel like I'm actually part of this band's release, and that feels like I actually helped.
Yes.
And I'm I don't know, part of like a community that I really care about and blah blah blah. Like dork shit where I like show up and I get to say hi to everybody, and it just feels like really nice. It's the same as like going to art shows where you know everybody. Like that's one of the reasons I like being alive.
Yes. Yes. When you're doing an album cover, do you have any sort of things that you do to try to represent the like do you put the music
Oh
on and
yeah.
try to like think about like what pops into your head? Like what type of stuff do you jump off of?
Unless they specifically ask me, like, yeah, sometimes a band will be like, we have this image, can you make it? That's fine.
Yeah.
Actually, sometimes that rules. Sometimes we come up with something really cool that I might not have come to on my own. Other times they'll be like, we literally want this image or something that looks just like it, which is cool, but it's less of like a collaborative thing. I think my favorite is when they're like, this is the vibe of the album, or like, here's the themes, like what
Oh,
do you have in mind? And then I get to like do the thing I do, you know? Uh, but I like all that shit. Like I was saying, like solving a problem is like that's a big part of being an illustrator and like a designer. And then sometimes it just feels good to we figured out the square. We we covered the whole thing. Uh, but yeah, my process, like everything, it's like I'm willing to do what it needs. I think that's part of what's like I was trained as an illustrator. I think people knew me more from graphic design or graphic design from like gallery stuff for a minute.
yeah.
But I think of myself as an illustrator.
Okay.
So when I approach a lot of stuff, it's from that mindset,
Yeah.
more so than like if you ask someone who shows only like fine art to paint your album cover, it might be more like, here's what I do, you can have it or not.
Got it. Okay. And so when you say like thinking of yourself more as an illustrator, do you mean more of like somebody who's partnering to bring out somebody else's vision? Is that what you mean by that? Or do you mean like literally the act of illustrating, like that you conceptualize things like via a sketch and lay it out more like that?
Yeah, I think well both, honestly. But no, I think like in especially with like bands, like I feel like I am there partly to help achieve the album cover they want. Like it's not
Yeah.
just about me, right? When I do work for galleries, it like almost actually is almost all about me. It's like my idea and the way I feel like bringing it, across or whatever. But no, I think what I mean is like I approach image making from like I do thumbnails. I think about like, does this composition work sort of like analytically and less um it's less open. It's
Sure.
like a negative way to say it, but uh and to me that's like I like that about the way I work. It makes it's fun and it's like helps me have some structure. And collage is so open, like I feel like you have to kind of have self-imposed rules or it's really easy for shit to just like spiral out of control.
Yeah. And there's
Uh,
so many like angles of collage I'm finding. Like I sort of collaged a ton as a kid for whatever reason. Like I don't know why that was just a thing that I did all the time and then completely forgot about it. And then recently like my wife and I have four kids and so we'll like make stuff with the kids.
yeah.
And I was just like, man, this is freaking awesome. Like I
Yeah.
love doing this. But then I sort of stumbled into and how I came across your work was sort of this whole corner of the internet of like collage culture. Like I'm on like the newsletter. I don't know how to pronounce it. COLLE. It's like,
Yeah, neither do I. By the way, I have to tell you that was like, I love that newsletter. I've been following it forever. And like, dude reached out to me, and I like, like had to like walk around the room. I was so excited. I like tried not to be a big dork, but I was like, oh my God, like, yeah, of course I'm free. Uh, but yeah, I've learned about so many artists from that. Like, and I feel like I pay attention to collage,
yeah.
There's so much stuff going on. It's really cool, I think, to see. Like it I had a really unfortunate conversation with someone who like didn't realize what I did and just like volunteered without any kind of prodding that collage is the lowest form of art.
Oh,
And I was like, oh, well, that's what I do. Like we kind of had to like have an uncomfortable. I was like, I don't really agree with you, but
yeah, right.
think I think that's like a lot of people's idea. In the same way that they used to be like craft and art are different. And
Totally.
I truly do not believe that's true. I mean, and there's so much proof, especially lately. Like I feel like that's changing. I think collage has kind of honestly had its moment, but now it's just kind of part of the conversation,
Yeah.
Uh, kind of like, I don't know what kind of music you listen to, but there's this band called Meshuggah.
Oh, I've heard of them. Yeah, yeah. I've never listened to them, but I'm familiar. Yeah.
I loved them growing up. Like they were like really important to me in high school. I still think they fucking rule, but I feel like they invented an entire genre by mistake, just from like the sound of their like tuning and whatever. And now for a while I was like tired of all the bands that sound like them, except for like a few. And now it's just part of music,
Yeah, it's true.
That's so cool to see, I think. I feel like collage is maybe entering the part where it's like it's just one of the things you use to solve an image.
Yeah.
And it's just like boundless opportunities. I see like people who are like printmakers, do a lot of like cyanotype collage that I think is so sick. Someone was doing I'm like a dummy about printmaking stuff, but it's like I think she prints like 20 of the same image and like tears through it. And
Oh,
honestly, it's got like a similar, like, I don't mean to like say it like this. I think we're approaching the way we want to convey the thing similarly because there's like a
okay.
depth to it, but her work is so cool and so completely different from mine. But it like in a way where I was like, oh, I wish I thought of that, Like that, I love I love collage. But it's like I'm stoked to see so many people doing so much cool work right now.
Yeah. Is
Uh,
there any for people who maybe heard this exchange and are like, "Oh my gosh, like collage, I've never thought of it as an art form before and I want to check some out." Do you have any places that you would direct people to or even specific artists too if you want to shout anyone out?
there's so many, dude. Jesse Draxler. Yeah, Jesse Draxler is like a like black and white, really kind of like harsh imagery. And
Okay.
I feel like he combines things in ways that shouldn't work, but it's like somehow flawless. Like your brain just like connects the dots. It's like the persistence of vision or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, my buddy Flesh Flies.
Okay.
It's a she does like again like kind of really visceral like she did like a suit of armor made out of meat uh
Whoa.
and like metal art, but like I don't know, there's something like a little bit more thoughtful about it, I think. That not that metal art isn't thoughtful. It's like my favorite thing in the world. Uh who's that dude? Is it Koike? Kensuke Koike. Does just like it's like he makes it look easy, you know? But no, that Kali was it account, whatever, COLLE. They're
Yeah.
a really good place to find a whole lot of stuff.
No, that's awesome. That's actually how I saw your work, I think, for the first time was in that issue of, I saw it pretty recently, actually, but then I just sort of dived in and have been really appreciative. But I saw it in that issue of Kali. And it had like that one image right up front, like the one that you and I
Yeah.
were talking about earlier with the head. And I was just staring at that and feeling so many things that I don't know how to articulate, which I think is what a good image does, is I'm looking at this thing and I'm feeling a whole ton of things. I don't know. I could not describe it for the life of me in words, what I was experiencing.
We talked about this a little bit, but I like the idea of like the meaning of the work or whatever, like what it means to someone else is like kind of if it does anything, then I'm doing something right. Um, and I like to like let go of it a little bit, like whatever my intention was, I want you to have your own sort of reaction to it.
Yeah.
So that's actually really cool for me to hear that you felt that way.
Yeah. Well, I just never like seen anything like that. And like looking at that particular image, right? It's like it's like that feeling of like watching yourself do things, like that weird dissociative feeling when you're in your body, but you're kind of like your
Yeah.
body feels like it's not you for a second. Like that image feels like that,
Yeah.
which that's a really distinct feeling to generate intentionally too, right? So like that was it kind of hit me and it was cool.
Wow. Yeah, that's funny because like I don't yeah, no, I guess that's sort of partly what I was feeling. But that's like a feeling I'm so familiar with and I never like considered trying to active like intentionally convey that.
Yeah.
That's cool. It's just in there. Uh yeah.
Are
Thanks for
there
explaining that work to me. I
yeah.
have like a new appreciation of it.
Yeah. Are there is there any like and I know you were mentioning like you were just saying like allowing people to have their experience of the work, but is there anything that you do hope someone thinks, feels, or experiences when they come into contact with your stuff?
Uh no is the short answer. Like
Yeah.
sometimes I make art about something, in which case I would like that to come across, but mostly I want you to feel something and then think about it, you know? Um with like several exceptions, right? But no, I think once you make the art, it kind of stops being yours a little bit. Like once it's out there being perceived, it's yeah. Um, this is like the answer I always give, and then afterwards I'm like, do I mean that? And I think I do. I think I really do.
Yeah.
I get bummed out occasionally when someone uses it. Like my work is like violent sometimes. I don't think of it that way, but it involves gore occasionally.
Yeah.
And people who are like sometimes folks who just like the idea of like a pummeled face are into it, and that's not totally my thing.
Got it.
I think you're missing some of the subtlety of what like I'm feeling, but also fuck it. If that's what they like about it, that's cool. I think
Yes.
that's like a humbling lesson for me.
Yeah. So do you kind of mean like your goal, at least for you from your end, is not like inciting violence or saying like,
Well,
hey, like it's awesome when someone gets punched in the face. It's more
right.
like, hey, I'm trying to like get at a broader theme here.
Yes. I think yeah, I want you to think more. Like what you described is exact. That's like kind of the perfect scenario for me. So
Okay.
uh
Yeah.
yeah, like there was one that I did a while ago that I just was like I don't know, just like playing around basically, but it's like a woman's face that's very like she's really gummy. She's got like her mouth is like fucked up. And I think there was someone who posted who just was like stoked to see like a woman who was hurt. And I was like, that's really not,
No.
it's
Yeah.
not, I don't like that. I actually like I think you're probably a bad person. Uh but that's, it basically like you can't control that shit. Once your art's out in the world, people are gonna do it. Yeah, they're gonna feel what they want about it.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I mean, like I have like specific political stuff that I don't agree with, and sometimes it gets like when you use any kind of like old Greek sculpture, there's some guys who want to co-opt it, and a lot of it for me, it's like part of the reason I use that is I am not connected to. I'm sorry for getting into like the weeds in the last like 5 minutes.
No, let's go.
I
Yeah.
don't. Okay, I don't feel connected to my heritage in a way where I'm like super proud. Like I think that's silly. That's shit that happened before I was alive. Like I don't especially when it comes to like Western like civilization, like being like, we made
Oh,
this.
sure.
You fucking didn't, dude. Like you just took a picture of it. Like you didn't do shit. And like I'm not taking credit for like things even my grandparents did. My parents, like I've been here for as long as I've been here and I'm trying to be a good person. I think it's much more important to be focused on that than like take a lot of pride in like what your blood's like. Like I just think
Oh, okay.
that's so weird. I'm sorry if
Yeah.
this doesn't make any sense. I
No,
think like
no, I hear you. Yeah, no, that
that
makes a ton of
time.
sense. What type of stuff? All right, we'll probably wrap it up here. Like, what is
Yeah.
next for you? Like, are there things that you're currently working on that you're comfortable talking about? Anything that you want to plug, promote, share about? Free
Um,
space.
yeah, I'm working on a bunch of stuff, some of which I actually don't think I can talk about yet. I have a bunch of variants coming out. I am working on actually making those available for sale, which feels really gross to promote, but and I have some shows coming up. I'm in something that opens at Arch Enemy in Philly this Friday. I'm at I'm in a group show at B&R Gallery in Australia right now that's got a lot of really strong work. Uh, and also at Mortal Machine in New Orleans. A lot of stuff I've made really recently that I feel really strongly about is there. Uh, geez, I'm like got a book cover I can't tell you about.
Sure.
It's yeah, a lot of it's like kind of little. It's too fresh,
Yeah,
but
that's fine.
I'm out here, man. Hopefully there'll be more stuff to look at very soon. But you know, following me on the internet is how you see what I'm doing, I guess.
Yeah. Is there any specific place? Is it website, Instagram? Is there like places that you would prefer people to reach out to you at?
Instagram is where I'm the most active. Um, yeah, pretty much exclusively at this point. My website's, gets updated every once in a while, but
Sure.
um, and also like I'm not hard to reach. If you want to message me, I'll basically talk to anyone about collage.
Cool.
Got nothing but time.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. I really appreciate like the whole conversation, man. I had a blast, learned a ton, and it was just cool. So thanks for hanging out.
No, thank you. Yeah, this is like one nice escape from my own brain sitting in my room alone, but I feel like all your questions were actually like really got me fucking fired up, obviously. So yeah, thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
Always choose orange.